Okay, so I'm going to explain the code. Step number one, explain this code. So how does it work? So it's in Python. At the top, we have kind of all our libraries that we need, all of our imports. So the main one that we need is called TDA, okay? And this is a open source library that uses the TD Ameritrade API. So once again, TD is a bank. You can also buy stocks through them, and they have their own API. So if you want to buy and sell stocks through software, you can use their API instead of downloading their app and using, I think their most popular app is called Thinkorswim. But so you can use their API to kind of have more control and do it automatically. So all right, so we have our imports here, TD Ameritrade, and then we use their authorization import as well. So basically you can log into their website and use OAuth, and once you log in with your TD Ameritrade login account, they will actually send you an access and refresh token, and those tokens you can use to make trades on your behalf or access your positions and stuff like that. So that's kind of the big part of using the TD Ameritrade API. And then there's streaming. So streaming is when you want to get real-time stock data. Stocks are trading all throughout the day, and you want to be able to get those that data in real time to submit trades or to do logic for your trading system. So that's what the TDA streaming library is. And then we also implement the equities and orders libraries. So equity is another name for stocks. And this allows us to buy and sell stocks, basically being able to submit orders in a easily readable way, because submitting an order for a stock, there's lots of options. And with these imports, it allows us to kind of make it easier for the programmer to easily submit a trade. So we got those are the main kind of library that we're using. We have a couple others. So I won't go through everyone, but I'll just mention a couple. So PyTZ, this is for time zone. It's not really a major issue if you're just using it for yourself, but I always like to put it into an Eastern time zone just so it kind of lines up with the market hours and stuff like that. We actually have, I don't know if you guys heard of Selenium. This is another really popular library, but this allows you to basically open Google Chrome or a browser and get kind of results from that browser. So we actually use Selenium to initially, when you run this bot, it will actually open up Google Chrome and go to the TD Ameritrade login. And then once you log in there, it will send back the tokens, and we use those tokens to access the API. So it allows us to kind of open Chrome automatically and kind of speed things up. And then we have some other common ones like pandas and NumPy, and we use TA. This is going to be our RSI import TA. So technical analysis is a library for common indicators in kind of trading. So stuff like RSI, MACD, simple moving average, crossover, that stuff. So yeah, that's kind of the imports. Let's scroll down a little bit. So we have two classes here. We have a bar class and a bot class. So the bar class, I'll try and explain this as simple as possible, but actually I'm gonna pull up a chart here and drag it over. Use a bar class to store these prices, the open price, the low price, high, close, and then the volume, as well as the date. And this allows us to keep track in history of what those bars did, right? And that way we know, okay, if we looked back yesterday, what was the bar for that day? And this helps us kind of understand. So kid says understood. Awesome. Great. Much science.
I got it.
Good one.
I'm late, but what does the bot do? So actually, Jake, I'll let you explain.
So the bot will essentially automatically place trades, buy and sell stocks based on a strategy. And we're going to use the RSI to determine that strategy. The RSI is an indicator. So we're just explaining the code right now, and I think we'll kind of start, actually showing you the strategy and how it works.
Yep.
So that's the bar class, and then finally we have our bot class, where we set up some initial variables as well. We like stuff like account size, our RSI indicator, which I'll explain how RSI works. And I'm showing my API key. Awesome, that's great. It's not a big deal. It's another account. So basically, we used TD Ameritrade to be our kind of main API, and we pass in our API keys in the self.client variable. And then we save that and update our account size with the results, right? So actually when this code runs, Google Chrome will actually automatically open and say, hey, you need to log into TD Ameritrade. And it will actually bring back it will save the access and refresh token so we can use it in the future. And then it will say, all right, you successfully logged into your TD Ameritrade account. Awesome. Enter the symbol you want to trade. So every stock has a symbol, stuff like Apple is AAPL, stuff like Tesla is TSLA. It's just a short form kind of word to reference that company with the stock, right? So it's, you'd enter your symbol you want to trade. So in our back test that I'm going to do for Tina, we're actually going to choose which symbol to trade, because sometimes, trading the first stock off your head with the strategy isn't always the best. It's not always going to give you the best results. So sometimes you got to kind of tweak it and try a multiple different basket of stocks to see which ones are the best for that strategy. And then lastly, we say, all right, enter the bar size you want to trade in minutes. So our code is going to execute every time a certain time frame is passed, right? So if we put in 1 here, every 1 minute, it's going to execute. It's going to calculate the RSI. It's going to either buy or sell if it's in the right logic. If we put 60, it's going to happen every 60 minutes, every hour. So we can kind of choose. We can actually fine tune how often we want it to trade. And generally, what I find is, from my success, longer time frames are going to be more successful. So I have a lot of trading systems and trading bots that trade on 60-minute, 120-minute, or daily candles. They're not trading as often, because if you trade too often, like every minute, sometimes you kind of get too many not quality trades, right? And then there's stuff like commissions as well. So anyways, we can choose what bar size we want to trade with. And then we enable our stream client, and this allows us to get that stock data, get the data for that stock in real time. So that's that. Let me know if I'm going too fast in the chat. And then we actually run it using async IO, and this allows us to run it asynchronously, which means our program can receive data from TD Ameritrade, but not stop. It can keep running in real time. So it's kind of like the opposite of synchronous. It happens at the same time, kind of in parallel. So it's not blocking our application from continuing to run while we wait for data. Okay, so that's that. Here in our read stream function, we say, all right, we want the symbol data that we want. So say Tina entered Apple here for the self symbol variable. Now it's actually going to stream data for Apple. And because it's Sunday, we're not going to get any results because the market's not open. The market is open Monday to Friday. But on Monday, tomorrow, she would get data. So this says, all right, TD Ameritrade, I want you to subscribe to Apple data. So do it here. And then we say, all right, any data we get, we're going to call our Onbar update function. And this is where most of the magic's going to happen. This is where the bot's going to calculate the RSI, and it's going to buy or sell if the logic hits. Okay. So we do that, and we say, all right, we're streaming real-time data now. And then we go to our last function called Onbar update. And this function is called every time we get a bar. So every time TD says, all right, there's an update in Apple price, here you go. It's going to send it to this function. And here we calculate stuff like the RSI. And also we're going to code our strategy here essentially. So for every bar we get, we calculate the current time. So what the current bar time is. And essentially this if statement here, line 114, is like where we're going to be writing all of our code, because this if statement is saying, all right, if the bar we're getting, if it's been 1 minute or if it's been 60 minutes, whatever Tina has selected in her bot, this is what's going to run. So we check the difference in minutes from the bar, because we might get a bar every, say, 5 seconds, but we want to wait until, say, 60 minutes have passed or a minute has passed before we run this. So this if statement right here, line 114, is kind of where we're going to be running all of our code. And here we get all of our bars here, and this is where we calculate our RSI. Okay, so we use the TA module library, and all the previous bars that we have, we throw it into there, and it does the calculations automatically for us. And then it actually prints the RSI, the most recent RSI. And this is where our strategy is going to lie, because we need this RSI to determine if we're going to buy or sell. Okay. So right here is where our entry point's going to be, and we're going to start coding our entry and exit logic. And then the rest of the code is just updating the bars, updating the open price, the high price, the low price, as I showed you in the chart previously. So this doesn't really matter right now. This is kind of, I would say like right here is where we're going to start writing the majority of our code, because we have the RSI. Okay, now when do we buy and when do we sell? So sorry, that was really long. I'm going to take a breather. Is everyone confused, or was this too much? I want to see what everyone's thinking.
Yeah, I thought that was really clear to me. Like I'm actually really surprised that there was the TA, like the technical analysis module, because I was expecting that we have to calculate all from scratch. Like, this is so nice. You just you just have to get that function there. So I think if anybody else has any questions, I think there's a little bit of lag, but I do have a question from me starting off. So if you scroll up a little bit.
Yep.
The if minutes diff greater than 0 self.bar size. So would you mind explaining a little bit about what that is doing? Absolutely.
So what this is saying is so on the left of the and, we basically say, all right, if minutes difference is greater than 0. So minutes difference is the current bar that we're getting. So say we're like, all right, we want Apple stock. It's going to give us a time for that bar, right? So it's going to say, all right, here's your Apple stock for 9 p.m., for example. So we take that 9 p.m., which is bar time, and we actually subtract it with when we ran the application. So this self.initial bar time is when we run the application, it actually tells us, all right, started running at X date. So we want to make sure that it's greater than 0, meaning that some time has passed since we ran the application. And then right here, this after this and statement on the right side, basically what we're saying is the difference in minutes divisible by our bar size? So for example, say you selected 60 minutes. That means we want the bar for every 60 minutes, every hour. So the difference in minutes needs to be at least 60 before we can run this if statement, right? So this is dividing the difference in minutes, and I round it down using math.floor with the bar size. So once this minutes difference is 60 or greater, and it's divisible by 60, right, we can run this application, right? And the reason why we do this is because your results, your profit and loss will be very different if you traded 1 minute candles versus 60 minute. Because if we did 1 minute, every minute this if statement is running, right? And it might make more trades, and it might make worse trades, it might make better trades. Versus if we did 60 minutes, it's going to trade a little bit less technically, and it allows more time to pass. So that's kind of what that if statement does.
Okay, I see, makes sense. And this is also how we can actually control the frequency of the trades, right? So exactly. So it doesn't just blow up my entire account.
Yeah, we don't want that to happen. Exactly.
Oh, and in case if anybody's not super familiar with Python, just in case people don't know, like the percentage sign is a mod symbol, just in case people are coming from other coding languages. Cool. Yeah. I mean, that is pretty clear to me. Let's see if everybody else is thinking. Okay, so what's RSI? Yeah, we can go into a little bit more detail about what RSI is after seeing if everybody else understands like the code structure.
Want to do is starting from here, line 126. I want to start using the RSI to make trades. So what we have to do, pretty much, I'll write in the comments here to do. We need to submit a trade, right? Enter a trade and exit a trade, essentially. And we want to use the RSI to do that. So we want to code the entry and exit for the trade. So right now we have the RSI, right? Which is this line 123 here, self.rsi. This is a list, so it's not the recent value. To get the recent value, I have this print here saying, hey, print the last RSI essentially. So once we have that kind of last RSI value, basically what we're going to say is, hey, if the RSI is less than or equal to 30, we're going to buy. And if it's greater or equal to 70, we're going to sell. We have to take it one step further and check if we're in a position already. So if it's greater or equal to 70 and we're in a position, we're actually holding that stock, we want to sell, right? And same thing for 30. We don't want to buy multiple times. We just want to buy once if we're in a position or not. Okay. So basically we got to do an if statement saying, if the RSI is less than or equal to 30 and we are not in a position, buy. Okay. So to do that, we're going to have a if statement saying if pretty much this, so the most recent RSI is less than or equal to 30 and we're not in a position. So we're going to have to create a variable to say, and we're going to set this Boolean to say, all right, have we submitted a buy order and we are in a position? So I think we'll set this in above the, in the class saying in position. And I'll come back down here and say, and not in position. Then we want to submit a buy order. Okay. Now to do a buy order, I have to, give me 1 second here. I don't know off the top of my head how to do it through their API. So I'm just gonna pull up some code here on the my other screen and find it. So it is we want this. Oops. Just bear with me for 1 second. People are going crazy in the chat.
To answer some questions too. Got it. Is there any other efficient indicator apart from RSI and why we're using RSI here? Yeah, there is a lot of indicators. I think by definition, you'll have to, the word efficient, right? Like that's something that is debatable about what that really means. There's a lot of different indicators and some of them are more useful than others. But really what it comes down to is like, this is, as we'll probably later see, this is not going to work super well because if it were, then everybody would be making bank on the stock market by just using RSI, right? Because there has to be a lot of other indicators, if you like, where other factors are going into it as well. But via Noob, thanks so much for listing some of the other indicators as well that people generally use.
Okay, I think I found it here. So we're going to create an order. And it is going to call TDA .orders .equities .equity underscore buy. So we're going to submit a market order, and there's different order types. I'm not going to explain all of them for now, but I'll explain the market order. Essentially, what a market order does is it submits an order, and whatever the current price that stock is valued at, it's pretty much submitting to that price. So we get filled pretty much instantly, and there's no wait, there's no delay. So this is just for ease of use. For this example, it's a good one because we're going to get filled immediately. Meaning, we're going to submit our order to the market. The market's going to say, all right, you wanted to buy Apple at X price. Here you go. But that price can change obviously very drastically, right? So there's other order types where you want to get filled at an exact price. So it's either that price or nothing. But in this case, we're always going to get filled because with what we're trading, there's a lot of trades going on, and with the market order, it's going to ensure that we get filled pretty much almost immediately, just for ease of use. But there's like thousands of order types. Okay, so we're going to submit a buy market order, and we type in it needs the symbol. So our symbol that we chose earlier is what it's going to use. So we're going to pass in self.symbol, and then we can also pass in the quantity. So we just want to trade one share for now, so we don't bankrupt Tina. Just one share of that symbol. So stocks trade at different levels. Obviously, you have something like Apple that's trading at $100 a share. You have something like Tesla that's trading at $600 a share. So it's going to submit one share or an order for one share. So if Tina submits a buy market order for Apple, it's going to get filled at, whatever, I think it's trading at $130. So of her account, $130 is now into that stock. All right, and she's holding that stock. So we're just going to do one share to keep it small. And we are going to set in position equal to true. That way it doesn't submit multiple orders. It just does it once and then we're good to go. Okay. Obviously if you wanted to do really, really good code, the better way would be to, after we submit the order, constantly check our current account positions and see, all right, are we in Apple stock right now, right? That would be probably the best option to do. Obviously for time purposes, we're not going to do that. And a simple variable is sufficient enough. But if we had a strategy that was trading multiple different stocks, we'd probably want to check our current account to see if we're in positions for Apple stock, Tesla stock, whatever it may be, and really keep track of those. But because we're just trading one symbol right now, this in position Boolean should do the trick. So that's our buy order. Okay. If the RSI is less than equal to 30 and we're not in a position, right, it's going to submit an order, buy market order, and set in position to true. Okay. Now we need to do, what's the next step? We have to do our exit order, right? So if the RSI is greater or equal to 70 and we are in a position, we sell. Okay. So I'm just going to pretty much copy this code, actually this whole thing. And let me know if I'm going too fast, guys. I apologize if I am.
I think we're good. I'm modding the chat right now. I think everybody is caught up.